Good evening. Hope you had a productive day. Welcome to the English News Bulletin. We'll begin with the headlines. A court in Paris will on Tuesday begin the trial of the 7th Rwandan to be tried in France for crimes in the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi here in Rwanda back in 1994. Rwanda is set to host the 2023 Commonwealth Local Government Conference on Tuesday. Welcome to the news in details. My name is Olive Nete. Let's start by informing you that a court in Paris will on Tuesday begin the trial of the 7th Rwandan to be tried in France for crimes in the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi here in Rwanda back in 1994. Dr. Sosten Munyemana is accused of being at the forefront of the massacres in Tumba sector in what is now Huye district in the southern province. The atrocities he committed there were so terrible they earned him the nickname of the Butcher of Tumba. A medical doctor by training, Sosten Munyemana was on leave from the end of March to early May in 1994, when he participated in the genocide against the Tutsi, after which he fled to France. The genocide charges against him were filed in 1995 by the rights groups. An international arrest warrant was issued by Rwanda and put under a red notice by Interpol in 2006. The suspect applied the refugee status, which was denied in 2008, and in 2010, Rwanda requested France to extradite him, but it was never done. In 2007, Gacaca courts tried him in absentia and sentenced him for 30 years in prison for the crimes he committed at the University Teaching Hospital of Butare and in Tumba. In 2010, the Ngoma Gacaca court on appeal upheld his sentence in absentia after proving his role in the planning and execution of the genocide in Butare, especially at the hospital where he killed women and children. He is known to have locked up Tutsi in the meeting room of Tumba sector's office building, almost all of whom were later massacred. He also distributed guns that were provided by former Prime Minister Jean Kambanda and killed people at local roadblock. Now to other matters. On Tuesday, Rwanda will host the 2023 Commonwealth Local Government Conference, and Rwanda also recently hosted the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting last year. Additionally, President Paul Kagame currently chairs the Commonwealth, which has 56 member states. Follow the details. Representatives from ministries of local government of various countries, civil society organizations, associations of local government, governors and other administrative officials from the 56 Commonwealth member states will be present at the gathering. Rwanda has high expectations in regards to this meeting, but it also has various experiences to share in regards to decentralization, which is at the forefront in governance procedures in Rwanda, as emphasized by various residents.
I used to call an ambulance from Minisanti and it would come and take the patient. I didn't know if it was possible for a resident to call an ambulance and get it right away. When the ambulance would come, it would be a good thing for the doctor, the resident and everyone else involved, and it also beneficial for the country. And more of that, it is the outcomes of good governance.
Hari na salon de coiffure.
There are also beauty salons, and most of the time people who have weddings attend them during night hours after running through various wedding preparations, and because of that we go back home late nights, sometimes midnight, but we don't face any insecurities, be it at work or on our way home.
Ariko nta kibazo duhura nacyo haba mu nzira ndetse naho dukorera.
Buri munsi nubona abantu bacu bari mu bihugu bitandukanye.
Most of the times, you notice that our soldiers in peacekeeping missions, they wouldn't go there if there was no peace in a country. So the fact that our soldiers go on peacekeeping missions in other countries is a sign that we have an abundant peace.
This is also affirmed by some of the foreigners who often visit Rwanda for various purposes.
Rwanda is a startling place. It is well run, it is orderly, it is modern, the technical infrastructure is impressive, people are so hardworking. I love this country.
Rwanda is the epicenter of technology for Africa. Whatever Rwanda is doing today, the Africa is going to follow tomorrow. As and when we need anything, the government is easily approachable. We can always go to the government of Rwanda. Rwanda Nezeza.
The Commonwealth, which has 56 member states, is now chaired by His Excellency Paul Kagame. Rwanda hosted the previous Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting last year. Rwanda intends to share its experience about good governance at the conference, according to Ladislas Ngendahimana, the Secretary General of the Rwanda Association of Local Government Authorities.
Commonwealth Local Government Conference is an opportunity for the members of the Commonwealth Local Government Forum across the Commonwealth to share experience, to learn from each other, and it is also an opportunity to showcase the achievements that have been registered in terms of governance, local economic development, and social development. Rwanda has a lot to gain from this conference, because not only it is a political opportunity, because it is all about leadership. Local governance is about leadership. That is about politics. That is number one. Number two, the quality of hospitality of Rwanda led to the competitiveness of the bid, because not only they assess the quality of the bids, but also they assess the environment. They send the delegates to assess the ground. What is the experience on the ground? How is it taking place? Does the bid match the reality on the ground? That is also very, very important.
Rwanda was given the opportunity to host the conference, which was originally scheduled to take place in Sri Lanka in 2019. However, security concerns in Sri Lanka prevented the meeting from going forward. This conference, among others, has never been held on the Asian continent. The most recent one took place in Malta on the European continent in 2017. It was originally scheduled for 2019, but the COVID-19 pandemic prevented it from happening. To other matters, the plenary session of the Chamber of Deputies passed the bills of loans and grants that have a value of about $228 million and up to 18 million unit of account in special drawing rights, which will be allocated to development activities such as boosting infrastructure and the health sector. Adam Squizera files the report.
Big part of these funds are loans that will be used to renovate and build the Kigali-Muhanga Road, renovating and expanding the Kabgayi Hospital, constructing a model center in aviation, and maintaining the health of the residents living near the Volcanoes National Park. Another part of this funding consists of donations intended to preserve the health of the residents living near the volcanoes and to support the projects of community health workers, focusing on their cooperatives led by women. This grant for the development of women-led cooperatives is worth of 3 billion Rwandan francs, and it was provided by the International Monetary Fund. The members of parliament have suggested that these funds should also reach the community healthcare workers cooperative led by male.
It should may be led by a man, but also have women deputies, and you may even find that there are many in the cooperative, and I think this might weaken the community health workers.
It will cause another problem, for the fact that they will think that if there are projects dedicated to empower women, then here they will choose to bring those men to become regular members. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uzienda Dijimana, explained why these funds were allocated in cooperatives managed by women only. The fact that these funds were allocated in one category is that we are also planning to train others, hence to build their capacity. The plenary session voted the bill that allows final approval of the agreement between Rwanda and the Republic of Korea regarding the complete elimination of double taxation, tax evasion, and non-payment of tax.
Still speaking of governance, the Minister of Local Government, Musabyimana Jean-Claude, urged various institutions to put more efforts in improving service delivery to local residents. This was reiterated on Monday in Kigali during a national stakeholders engagement meeting of fostering national transformational governance. Adam Squizera continues.
In those discussions, they evaluated the governance rate performance for the last 29 years ago, basing on the self-reliance and foresight in order to accelerate the development. Dr. Yusta Kaitesi, the Chief Executive Officer of Rwanda Governance Board, RGB, pointed out that finding solutions has helped the country to solve many problems within a short time, even though currently there is still a need to increase efforts dedicated to achieve the 2050 vision.
As partners, we are all here to deliver on one thing: the transformation of the people. And you cannot do that without the participation of the people. So each partner is expected to have the people participate in that. But also each partner is expected to be efficient. When we don't use our resources efficiently, there is a lot of dropouts in that regard. So, but the last one is collaboration. You know, we are focusing on the same citizen. We should collaborate with the citizen and with one another in order to deliver on the development that we are pursuing.
The resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme in Rwanda, UNDP, Maxwell Gomera, expressed that UNDP wants that in its cooperation with the government of Rwanda, efforts should be made to solve the problem of delayed cases in justice.
Recently released governance scorecard indicated that 59, the score for backlog, the case backlog, is 59%. What it means is 59% of people who are currently on remand are not able to access a trial or justice within 6 months. That is a long time. 6 months is a long time for anyone to wait for justice. Within those 6 months, your family is uncertain, you are uncertain, you might lose your job, you might lose your livelihood. That is an area we need to focus on.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Development Bank of Rwanda, BRD, Kamita Sainzoga, explains that there is a need to strengthen the capacity of cooperatives, such as those for women and people with disabilities, so that they can play an active role in the development. The Minister of Local Government, Musabyimana Jean-Claude, believes that a lot has been achieved, but there is a need in solving people's problems.
In harnessing services delivery at local government level, beside the 25 local government services delivered online by Irembo, the ministry will continuously work with Irembo to upload the remaining local government services so that service seekers will easily access them.
These discussions emphasize that technology is one of the things that will facilitate to speed up and improve the service delivery sector. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
To other matters, institutions related to human rights advocacy in Rwanda have demonstrated that it is important for local authorities and the people to increase their knowledge on the principles of human rights in order to protect them. Adam Squizera once again.
In preparation for the International Human Rights Day, which will be celebrated on 10th December, various institutions met in discussions aimed at exchanging views on how to protect human rights and how to take measures to close the gaps in their observancy. The executive director of Never Again Rwanda, Dr. Diarasa Joseph Nkurunziza, points out that in the journey dedicated to respect the human rights, there is still a large gap that should be bridged.
We also need to make sure that all these policies and procedures are people are the law enforcement officers are well versed with these procedures, so that their actions are implemented in a lens that doesn't jeopardize people's rights.
Mama Keita, Director of the Sub-Region Office for East Africa of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, finds that the African nations should strive for the development of its people, plus preserving their human rights.
I'm in favor of continue to push for the economic goals, for the economic development priorities. I think that when you fix that issue, it's easier to get along on the other issues. When someone is angry in the room, has not eaten dinner yesterday, the discussion becomes a little bit complicated. So for me, those economic and social rights will come first in a developing country such as Rwanda. In more advanced countries, you may see that priorities are different. But it's not to me to say this, okay? Again, it is a consultative process. Discussions are going to take place, and we'll see. And I think that something emerged really clearly and really good. Something that is extremely important is to keep having a platform where everybody can engage. Engagement is critical.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Dr. Emmanuel Ogerashebusha, pointed out that human rights is a journey that must be respected as well.
Yes, it's the changes, but also it is what was being done in the correctional services, because when you look at the number of people who repeat the same crimes that they committed, the number was high, but now it's reducing because of what is done in the correctional service in order to avoid people repeating the same crimes that they did in the first place. How do you ensure that they get the right form of re-education in order for them to be useful members of the society? So this is what the criminal justice policy comes to answer. With the long-term view, the objective is not necessarily to reduce the backlog. It's to reduce the crime, which ultimately reduces the number of people in prison. So the site should not only be about the number of people who are incarcerated, but what leads to them committing the crimes, and then preventing that which leads them to committing the crime. And if you do so, by extent, you'll be dealing with the issue of congestion in correctional services.
These discussions on human rights are provided by the United Nations in all countries prior to the actual day of the celebration of the International Day for Human Rights.
Thank you, Adams. Now to health matters. About 150 young students from various schools in the northern province appreciate the fact that through technology they can improve their skills and knowledge about reproductive health, and that this will help them to know more and to prevent unplanned pregnancies. Take a look. Some of these students indicate that it is not easy for them to access information about reproductive health, which makes some of them make wrong choices and find themselves facing unplanned pregnancies, which continues to increase among teenagers. Lack of knowledge about reproductive health can lead young ones to make wrong decisions, and they may fall into temptations. Some may go into prostitution, others may flee from their homes, and at some point, some of them end up skipping classes.
Sometimes educators don't emphasize or teach young ones about such topics, and also teach them how to overcome challenges that may lead to these issues.
Through a project called Dope Initiatives, young people were taught how to prevent unwanted pregnancies by playing a game called Keza. This was one way to address the issue of unplanned pregnancies among young people. Students answered questions about reproduction in the interactive game to learn about reproductive health. They say that they gained knowledge and took comprehensive measures.
I was able to learn more about the reproductive health among adolescents and changes that occur within their bodies at certain ages.
The founder of Dope Initiatives, Gael Gisubizo, points out that in partnership with the Imbuto Foundation, they intend to use technology to raise awareness among students in schools about the need to avoid unintended pregnancies.
Icyambere cyo twabonye mu Rwanda ikibazo cyambere cyagihari nuko abangavu benshi batwaye inda.
The first challenge we noticed among teenagers who got impregnated is that they didn't have enough information about reproductive health. That is why we wanted to provide proper information. Due to our culture, sometimes parents and educators are not open to discuss with kids about such topics. But so far, through this game, it has been beneficial because after answering questions, these children gives us feedback. It may be a question or an addition. And as we get their feedback, it shows us that they are benefiting from it wherever they may be playing from. And we believe that in the upcoming days, through this, we can reduce the number of teenage pregnancies. 150 young students from 13 schools in the northern province participated in the campaign through games, and the winners received various prizes. Thank you for joining us today. I'm RwandaTV. Until next time, take care and goodbye.